Headdresses. Male had pudongs, female had tubato. Okay? And they wore gold jewelry. Again, the more, the merrier, the better. So, things like bangles here. Okay. So now we know a little bit of our ancestors. Okay, in terms of food, this was the staple crops, rice, food crops. Fishing, of course, very important because they were close to the waters, but they didn't have to go to the deep because there were already fish nearby. So that means actually, ano mo ato naman ta sa deep road, kung ano yung isda, we destroy it. No? The corals, what's nearby. And sorry for the mga typos there. They use also large nets. Also. Anyway, seafood was the main source of protein, but they had pigs and chickens. I read somewhere that pigs were very important to them. In fact, pigs were traded with the Chinese. So I think they loved their lechon already at that time. Okay. Meals were served on low tables and directly on the house floor on large seats. So they didn't have the table and the chair. Okay? And there was little not chewing, mama. I think no? Visayans were good drinkers. Very important kay drinking nila. Ingon pa gani dito si Pigafetta, ma-surprise siya kay kusog kay manginom ang mga Cebuano, igin hubog. Mas gabi ko ang bulan. No, but may manginumay dito sila. And then, everything they do, naagyoy inom. I think there's something about inom. It says there, it facilitates actually, you become less formal, no? And then, loosen ang iyong tongue. So, lumaslami ko no ang storya kung nakainom na. If you notice the picture here, they use straws. Made of reed. No, yeah, share. Muna itagay. Diba? So, straw, reed, some kind of grass. Nalas may mga pangalan nila. Of course, there are 5 kinds of ano na lang nato i-appeal, no? Naanay 5 ka-alcoholic drinks. So one of them, tuba, of course. No? At appeal din ang tuba. So, in social gatherings, very important ang drinking. Hindi yun na mawa ang tagay. Okay. Pre-colonial Cebuano life. They practiced trades like blacksmithing, boat building, pottery, gold working, and weaving. Okay. In architecture, there are 3 kinds. One, you have the permanent wooden structures, which are occupied by the Tagus. They're like townhouses because they're like the bigger one. In this drawing, I think that's the bigger one there, the taller one. And then you have cottages of light materials for ordinary people. It has to be light because remember they were constantly raided, and so they have to be easily, they can easily escape, and they don't bother with something permanent because balik na sa uno kung masunog. 3 houses for a time of war. Okay, I think you know that the houses are single room, houses. There's a set of stairs going up, and you know that the room inside the house is flexible because you can use it as sala, you can use it as dining, and then in the evening, i-unroll ang imong mat and maghigda. Okay? Less complicated dito ilan mo niya. They don't really have the idea of kanang private kaayo na spaces. Like communal yun. In fact, of course, I think more or less they were of blood relations, most of them. Okay? International commerce, there was already Chinese trading. In fact, they're hinting that there was already Chinese trading even way before the 10th century. So, if you think about it, the first how do you call this? International visitor we had were the Chinese. Although there were the other neighboring areas in Southeast Asia. Okay, what else? I didn't include here marriage, but it's very interesting how they did marriage. Because if you were an ordinary citizen, sa mingan sa ordinary citizen, atimawa, or a slave, okay na, dali na ilaha ang kasal. No? In fact, kung slave sa minyo, tagaan na naman, minyoon, unya, usahay, taga-gift sa ihang dato o ganang pots, and mga pots lang, para gamit, mana. But if maminyo ang dato, that's another thing, because marriage was not just marriage, it was a political alliance, or it was a business deal, no? So, there's so many things to how do you call this, to take care of. There was also what you call a, kung sa kanina asal ka ng binisaya it's not dowry. Is it bugay? Ang bugay, ang bugay, ihatag na sa side sa laki para sa babae. Bugay na. And then, unsa ihatag sa laki dito sa kuan, ang magbuot, of course, na meals. Okay? Unya, unsay makuha nila sa bugay sa babae, i-share. No? Kung appeal sa deal, kanang brother-in-law or sa yung uncles, appeal na sila sa share. Okay? The other side is that there is a dowry. Naa sa ihatag ang laki, ang babae nandito sa laki. Okay? So, marriage was, especially for those in the upper class, the datos, where it's not an easy thing. No? So, in fact, you will find later on, murag na ay na-carry sa literature na to sa Cebu. That's called the pamalan. You know, we will have an example of that in a while. Okay, religion. The Visayans worship nature spirits. The anito there is not anito nga kanang the idol. No? It's the worship muna sa ato ang sabot sa anito. Gods of particular localities or activities or their own ancestors. That's who they worship. But they also believe in monsters and ghosts, like what? Hadlok na sila aswang. There were already tales like that. Okay? Aswang, hata, sigbin, sa pagayana. Daghan, no? I was like reading before Kanika Ramos ng mga lower mythology. My gosh, dailain ang mga kinds of aswang. No? Dailain ang kinds of divinity. Daghan. Okay, so very interesting. They believed in signs and portents. Mga tuo-tuo, no? Naku matingin na karon, Lord, tagay kong sign. Ay, sign. So nana na ila indicated by ang ilahalan the behavior of the birds or the reptiles. If birds are, acting weirdly, then it portends something. No? Murag naano man na sa ato ang gihapon nun, no? And I remember before the big earthquake, somebody told me na nagawas ang mga daghan kay bulmigas kuno. So I think that's kind of like that, a sign or portent. Yeah. Or you could elicit the signs or portents through casting lots. No? Or you have omen-seeking ceremonies. So I think it's, again, I know there are so many mga card readers still around, like in Colon. You might as well understand, no? It's kind of part of our past that we need to know, signs or what the future will be for us. They sacrificed also to their gods, and the sacrifices include food, beverages, live fowl hogs, for human beings. So there was human sacrifice. And they kept small idols. And that's the reason ko nung who's the Raha, who's the name, katong asawa din?
Amihan.
Si the asawa of Umabon ba?
Amihan. Umamay.
Wana, o kato siya, what was the, anyway, was so taken with the Santo Niño because they had already small idols. Okay? So that's the reference. I may have skipped some things. The motor raids, by the way, were so rampant in the pre-colonial period. Okay, so when you say raids, mangadto, kanang sa nga nani, i-invade ang Cebu, for example, unda manguha og mga slaves. And not just kaptangan, but slaves, or trade. So, you will see that in one of the epics that I will use as example in a while, the raiding of 4 slaves. Okay? I may have missed, I cannot cover all, no? So I hope that sparked your interest a little bit about pre-colonial, the pre-colonial period for you to read more. Okay, there are several already, like I said, sources about that. Do you have any questions before I really go now to Cebuano literature, pre-colonial Cebuano literature? Okay. Sorry. Raph, are we taking a break? No? Because I will now go into the literature part. You want to take a break? You need a break? What time is the break? Before 10? Before demo. Mine is actually, I will talk already about the pre-colonial Cebuano literature and right away discuss how you can teach it. Okay? It's not so much about them. So it's actually seamless na kind of seminar. So I don't know. Okay. I think the speakers will be, the other speakers will also discuss what Cebuano literature is, but just to, because I'm the first, so I get the first dibs or defining Cebuano literature. I got this from, this was not published, but this is the Cebuano literature, a survey of Dr. Elida Alulo. It's available in the Cebuano Studies Center if you want to read it. There is a portion, there's a section there on pre-colonial Cebuano literature also. So this is how she defines it. And Resin Mojares in Cebuano Poetry, the first volume, also more or less defined it this way. So this is Cebuano literature. It refers to the body of oral and written literature of speakers of Cebuano language. So it's language-based. Cebuano Organization, residing mainly in Cebu, but also found in the neighboring islands of Bohol, Siquijor, Negros, and some parts of Mindanao. That is included in Cebuano literature. Kay Cebuano man ang ilahang language. Now, what is pre-colonial Cebuano literature? It's the traditional narrative. The traditional narrative has a much longer history that antedates the Spanish arrival. So there is actually a big body of work. Of course, we cannot anymore find all of them because they're probably gone. You know? So Cebuanos have a rich store of oral texts, of these ballads, and perhaps at one time epics. And why is this place here at one time epics? Because there's no more Cebuano epic that could be found. Wala na existing. There is the epic that I will show to you later on, found in Bohol, but it's only a portion. Okay, so wala na yun. Unfortunately, wala na tayo. Ang uban na ilang labang, ilang labuan, labaw-lumbono, and many others, but we don't have ours. Bantugan is kuan. Asa gitas Bantugan ha? Ana? Is it Mindanao? Si Bantugan? Mindanao. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so it's not ours. Okay. So I hope that is clear, the definitions. So we are going to be tackling oral, but you might be surprised because in the sample that I will give, mura na ni siya sagol nga Spanish, no? Ay, natin, lagot, no? Pero you will also find sources nga folk kitsa because they're the closest literature we have sa pre-colonial because especially from those kind of mga indigenous groups, no? The kind of literature that they have because they're not dated yet, no? They seem to be kind of far off from Spanish colonization. Wala kayo sila na-touch. So muna, sila ang pinaka-closest sa kana pre-colonial. Okay? Now, let's begin with poetry. So I'm dividing my talk today from into the poetry and the prose, no? Prose narratives. So orality explains many features of early poetry, says Horace. No? Conventionality, these are the, how do you call this, characteristics. Conventionality, the use of formalistic units, repetition and reiteration, because they're used so that they're not mnemonic devices. Remember that they're done spontaneously so that it could buy them time to remember what's next or to prepare what they should say next. They repeat, no, or emphasize certain aspects of what they have already said. Now the basic building unit is the couplet. I think you're familiar with the couplet? Okay. And which can expand into the quatrain, and then the quatrain can become larger. Okay? Rhyme is assonantal. I will point out later on in an example kung saan ang assonantal rhyme. The prosody, the syllabication rather, 5 to 12 syllables, but the most common is heptasyllabic and octosyllabic. What's heptasyllabic? 7 syllables and 8 syllables. Okay, you'll find that in Balitaw, most of it in Balitaw. Everyone is a poet because you will find that in the text there are no names, there are no attributions to an author. Okay? Because everyone is a poet, and what enters tradition is appropriated and shared by all. Okay? To be repeated, recast, refined, or extended. So, sahay you may hear you may hear a rendition of this kanang text. In the next, lahi na sa kinapunan kamay, no, na mga changes kamay. There's no strict demarcation of boundaries. There are frequent migration of images and tropes from form to form and performance to performance. Okay? Kind of fluid, like water. Bala refers to poetry in general. Okay? Often the more elevated creations. Garay is used for the informal, less accomplished, versified. I now remember someone, I was like one slow evening, someone was strumming the guitar. And when he was strumming the guitar, he was creating mga verses. He was not making balak, he was actually making a garay. Okay? So, mga elevated na, that's balak. Is this clear? Can I go ahead? Now these are the different kinds of Cebuano's, pre-colonial Cebuano poetry. Nomic verses, there is a single metaphor or couplet, and you have the example Sanglitanan. You don't have to take a picture because I believe a copy of this one because I did not give much, I did not give at all for the handouts because I was thinking paperless and everything, but I'll give you this. You can even use the pictures if you want. Those are made by my students. Okay. Sanglitanan, you have proverbs, and then Tigmo riddles. Familiar with that? Anyway, we'll have some examples in one. Religious chants and invocations like Harito. Familiar with Harito? And then, it's like a prayer, but pre-colonial. Anyway, songs of various types, the songs are called awit, but I'll give one example like the Saloma, or the Sailor Song. Popular forms, you have balitaw involving 2 persons. Okay? Pwede ganini babay, and of course, usual babay, laki. But maybe sa babay, or laki. Usually laki. No? Babay, laki. Many, ulilisi, and ang kinsay nakaduwa ani, impanyong palaran, anyway, that's an example. They're performed for diversion, meaning for entertainment, or as integral part of certain social rituals like the pamalayi. I mentioned the pamalayi a while ago. So it's negotiation for marriage. Okay? Do you want to know how negotiations were done before? You do negotiations. There are no more negotiating today. It's like, let's saw, and then after thought na lang, we negotiate yung tapo. Buwan na. Let's go to Sanglitanan. Paano ba? Kaya pwede ni ma-stretch ni? Or a prenuptial agreement, kaya negotiations. Yeah. stretch. Magkano naman ninyo? Hindi ninyo magklaro ka itong mga nas likod, pinigyan magbato mga nila kapag yung mga chairs. Sige. Sir, ikaw ako papasahon sa first. Food for thought, may nini kay mga, kibawan mo na sa glitana no, na ang yun ay yan ang mapukpok na pagtulunan. There, na-stretch na din. Very good, Nick. Okay. Basahan po no, sir. Okay, ka, sir?
Ang ulang na matulog, pagkatadaw sa sulok.
Suko mo na, agree mo. Yes. Basta nag-ulang.
Ang ulang na matulog, pagkatadaw sa sulok. Ang namang shrimp ba nga na ginano, di ba siya maka-kasko? Di maka-kasko kung ito, sumahanap siya sa sulok.
Kung ano? Rephrasing. Nagsagot mo ama. And then you know what you get your students, you can let your students know. Pa-discuss na. That's my variation, Ani. May variation. Sir, agree ka, Ani? Okay, Ani. Do you agree with the saying?
Kaya,
Diba? Natugtog ka niya. Ano?
hindi na ka masagan, makikita ko sa mga reso,
Sige, sir. Thank you.
ito,
What do they basa naman? But you gave me more to explain.
ang samad sa kumiki, pagkabation sa tibok lawas.
There is an English saying for this. Kind of like that. Very Catholic kind of. Diba? Put your finger and feel it was the entire body, safe. So, lagi mo yung go on. Nakachita, ani? Pwede sabihin, yes, pwede daw teamwork. Are you referring to teamwork? Of course, you can refer that to teamwork.
Kaya problema sa sulok pa, what is probably more difficult would be its socio-psychological implications.
Exactly. And that's where you can come in with the discussion. Oh, by the way, mula gina, you're right. I go back to sa yung first police officer. Of course, there's the problem with language. Di man yun na ask to mga bata, you know, sorry, ano what happened? I only got actually, you have no problem because I got this from the pre-colonial, Cebuano poetry. There are 2 volumes. The first volume is pre-colonial to 1940. There is a translation already of this. So you won't have a problem. I just actually took a picture of the Cebuano. So no problem with that. You show your students a translation. But let me suggest, ayaw sa diretso sa tingin ng translation. Diba? As in, ingana yun ka, kuhan, disappointing ang mga bati na rin. Nakuha tingay sila, oy. It's context. Right? Can we go to the third, sir? Hindi mo na nahaluson? Sige, sir.
Ang kabugnaw sa pulong sa kalayo makapalong.
Na ay maigo nga, hindi ba din? Hindi mo favorite, ano mo frenemy? Urat, sige pa mo ginuflow, ginausa mo na ang masabot na. Mag-inganak sa nang inyong estudyante. These are just samples, ha? There are so many. Sold outside. I brought actually my books. There is a book there outside on the Proverbs and riddles.
Kapit na.
Can you give her a mic, please?
The number 3 is actually very similar to the, the book of Psalms.
Yeah.
Number 3, Saul's answer, turneth away wrath.
Yes. In fact, number 2, someone also gave a very Catholic saying, ang samad sa tuwingking. What did you say? You were saying something a while ago.
If one is affected, everything in the body is affected.
Yeah, and that's also in the Bible actually. Yeah. Maybe sayings around the world share the same one. They're actually the same. Although differently said. Okay? Number 4, sir. Halusan na lang yun.
Imong lantay, imong bantay. Imong pantaw, imong lantaw.
Kasabutana? Can someone translate that? Hi, this is the source.
Lantaw.
And I think it's there outside.
Tawan is
So
unliving.
Granda.
here, let's look at the translation.
Granda. Oh,
Your bed, your guard, your porch, your
marami salang
watch.
gamay. Pataw. Pantawan. Kuan ba nang
Ilang may own kay ni bantayan. Okay. Next, sir.
ayaw pag
Your bed, your guard, your porch, your watch. Patayin imuhang katring. Basta imuhang porch, imuhang karan. Yeah, correct. I remember you made your
Imong nataran, imong nagpiyuman.
yes. Pag-tipyo lang na siya, sir. Ang kanig ay pati mo bantayan. Sige, sir.
Ano? Bili mo ay talabot.
Muna.
Imong lantay mo imong bantayan.
Yeah.
Ayaw palabot sa imong lantay kay
None of your
banat
business.
sa wawa.
Yeah, my business. In other ways. A shorter version. Okay, sir. Next, sir. Number 5.
Number 5. Ayaw pag hinalig baki ang dakong linaw. Mabot ang dakong gulaw sa ugang liki ka mo paulit.
Natawag mo na rin yung word na Nikki. So, how is it translated? It sounds like Bahai. It reminds me of Bahai. Anyway. Do not exalt frog in that great pond. In the great drought, your back in the dry crack. Do not exalt frog in that great pond. In the great drought, your back in the dry crack. You can say it's about kind of humility. It could also be about preparing for the great drought, ready for the next catastrophe, disaster, whatever. Okay? Sige. Siya translation kani. Good for us. Even that small book, that Mambo, that book already also has a translation. Right? The last, sir, please.
And magpatungag kamatay. Magpatugag kamatay. Munggos na madiyan.
Dali na lang masakta. Kaya nakakawag ka, sir. Ha?
Pero nanay munggos na sinagulat sa linaw.
So, okay na din. Answer pag pumunta yung pinag now. Okay? So, there are many actually proverbs or sangitanas. Okay? So, you don't have to worry about that. Now, what did I do with my class, in my class? It's actually just basically descriptions, but I also asked them to compile or research other proverbs not included in our class discussion. You know why I think proverbs are very important, especially for one who writes? It's because you use them. When you write a speech, you use sayings, adages. When you even talk, you use them. So it's good if you have your own reservoir there in your head. And if it's good if you can say, you got that, it's a Cebuano, Sangitana. No? It's not Confucius, it's not, it's a Sun Tzu, Art of War. Okay. So, that's Sangitana. Yes, sir?
Ano ko ito tanong ba? I mean, why, anong Sangitanan may translation sa Proverbs? Di ba panultikon?
Panultihon. Bitaw. But, or
Kaya
Sangitana.
ang Sangitanan, murang ko na siya.
Sanglit, light.
Oo, paano ka na, murang, exemplars ba? Example.
Yeah, that's right.
So, Proverbs, I think, would be,
But it's also nice if it's Sangitanan. You can also, in a sense, get a lot of lessons from the.
kaya, ang may extension, basta masabot, okay naman.
Yeah.
Wala.
But I also asked that, sir, but anyway. Okay, thank you, sir. Okay. I like you because you participate. So just tell me if you have how you can add something. Ipanan, and now we go to Harito. Okay. I think, you know what's Harito, right? I described that a while ago. It's a prayer. Invocation. These ones are short invocations. But can we just read this? Or can someone volunteer to read? Buko na bitaw? May hindi ka nang ma-exercise at dila bitaw. Ma-unravel. Hindi na malungkot. Si Sir, may problema na sa Cebuano, si Sir. Anybody? Yes. Yes, really. Can someone give Mama mic? Thank you.
Kining among mga lanhan, inyo untang panalanginan, aron sa kaayuhan sa akong mga ginsakpan. Maluoy dili ninyo kuhaan kining akong ginsakpan, labing maayo nga inyong dungagan sama ni inyong kadaghanan.
Yeah, and that's a prayer before, that's a harito. Oh, by the way, I mentioned a while ago the rhyme, the pattern, no? So we said it's what? No, not the syllabication. Asonantal. Yan klaro kay asonantal rhyme din. You know what's asonantal? Tanawan, anong word na, di ba? That's a pairing of a vowel and a consonant. Pag ang yan siya mag-aman ang mumuda, in this case, lanhan, panananginan, kaayuhan, minsakpan, an. Here, kuhaan, minsakpan, dungagan, kadaghanan, same ihapon. That's asonantal rhyme. Pwede sa I, A-Y, sa pa O-Y, no? Sa pa I-D. Basta combination siya. Yes. Okay, now, this is an example of harito. There's only one actually given here in the book of Moharas et al. But what I found actually interesting, and this is what you will see in most of the examples I will give, I found poems that are inspired by Cebuano forms, in this case poetic forms, and they made modernized. The sensibility is contemporary, so it's like a modernized version of the Cebuano, pre-colonial Cebuano form. So this is modern harito I found, written by Cora Almerino, And babaeng kahalad ug sayaw sa ulan. I know this. I don't know why, but it's very... Can we... Kaya sa towers. I-run down again. Does anyone want to read this one? Yes.
Diyosa sa katigulangan, akong gilikanan. Aniya ako taliwala ni ining kalusukan, kahalad kanimo, ning akong mga kamo. Ako kini gikaway-kaway diha nimo. Aniya ang akong nawong gasugat sa imong dana. Ang hangin duyog sa akong hawak, nagalubay-lubay. Aniya usab ang ganay sa akong mga diin nga gasalsal. Diyosa sa katigulangan, akong gilikanan. Gilamat ako ning mga kahoy. Gisakmit ang akong tingog sa uwak, ug ang akong dila ning kapot sa akong anigalngan. Matag adlaw ako nagagamay. Diyosa, sud-unga, kining akong paghalad. Ayaw tago ni anang pangalan. Gawas diha, ug ibuko nganhi sa akong mga mata ang tanan nimong kaingon. Ug sa usa ka mando, sa usa ka lantik, nga pagtutok kining tanan dinhi, kining tanang gapikot, nako musilaog. It's not really harito kaayo, but it sounds like a harito. But the thing is, what Almerino did was to really contemporize it. Do you know what she was talking about here? She lost something and she's asking the Diyosa to give her what? What did she lose? And what is she asking for? I'm not going to tell you the answer because you have to do this yourself. Because you're going to ask your students to do this also on their own. Can we go back to the first page? Unsay nagkagamay. Okay? Let's just read 3 stanzas just to give us an idea of what Saloma is. Okay? Anybody? Any volunteer? Mga hadlok na lagi mga volunteer. Sir, sige, there's a mic there. Uy, in your class, you let your students read, ha? Para ang mga dila, anak, hindi magkabaluktot sa inyo.
Dapat ako magsakay sa mabalod, na dili sa dagat nga malinaw. Kaysa unos, dili ako malunod. Malunod ako sa mga kaminaw. Ang pagpungasik sa habagat, gapangahas akong pagpamaruto. Kay basit ako tabunan sa wakat, antuson ko hinday tungod kanimo. Gilayag ko man gani ang dagat nga nagkapungasi, ikaw pa ba ang dili? Sumpay ka sa kinabuhi. Galas. Inday pamatia gani ang awit niya limukon, nga sa kaanyag nimong nabihag, ug sa gugma buot paulipon.
You know, the Saloma started as a singer song, but eventually, nabutangan na siya ng kanang love element. So, last we have that. Okay? Una, kanang atukas law, bugnaw kaayo, inok-dok yung ka. Ha? Side? That's it. It's like a sailor song. Yeah. So that's Saloma. Let's go to the next one. Ay, big good na. My favorite. Okay, kung unsa ka ka-bright, matest yun na kung kimote na utubot sa TV. But sometimes it's not really about deciphering the riddle. It's really about knowing a lot of riddles. Okay, at the test. Yes.
Share ko lang sir.
Kabayo niya ang dili mo kaon. Yan lang.
Tingko, Kasumada ko ang number 1, gihatag na ni sir. Ang answer ko na sa number 1, tingko. Bangko. Tinoon? Bangko.
Kabayo niya ang dili mo kaon. Buran.
Are you sure? Tingko, ako ko yung para ta mag-asoy. Sure lang, ay nagitubang din.
Bayis na siya, ma.
Lagi, lahi ang answer din eh. Mata. Uy, kasi kamugna, talimitan na, sa iyo matok na lang answer. Pero kaya number 2, mga answer din mo. Kabayo ni Adan, dili ko kaon, kung dili sakyan. Okay, dali lang na. Uno, ang mga bata rin ba, tinabihan na, wala na kanilang kulturan. Ina ka mo kulturan? Lagi na sila. Sa ako, dito sa museum where I work, laki ang naong sa kulturan, ako kistanan. Tinihan na dito. Sige, tubig kong tinipigan, dili hidapatan sa hangin.
Dugo.
Tubig sa buto. Very cool, right? Okay. Number 4. Wala sa langit, wala sa yuta, makalibog sa huna-huna. Sure? No, Hana, ikaw mo siya kapahuan eh. What's your answer? Tuba. Very good. Nanong ko ng tuba, uy? Waman, ikot ka tilang tuba, sir? Mahal. Sir, nakasmay ko mahal. May nakita akong nagpangalit. Iyato na ko, walay agi. Unsa nihan? Number?
5.
May nakita akong nagpangalit. Nagpangalit. Agi. Iyato na ko, walay agi. Kasi naana dito sa libro, ma'am.
Balod.
Balot?
Nagpangali.
Nagpangalit? Ani? Nagalit? Nangaway ka? Sa man yung tubaganihan? Wala sa libro?
Balod.
Balot?
Oh, balod. Nag-wave.
Nag-wave? So, sa man? Agi? Wave? Yeah, it's a wave, no?
Wala yan ni Kali.
Yeah, so balot. Number 6. Balay ni Kali, mga haligi pulos balik, ang atok kalaha, tagaan ng isa. Saan payong?
Payong. Balik yung kuwan.
See, we need to also improve our and the imagination is also very important. Yes, ha? What's the answer?
Crab.
Crab? Alimango? Okay. Okay. Anyway. So what can you do with these people with your students? Of course, they have to use their imagination. Ako, ano magpag-game? Game with that. But of course, I'll give them a chance. Your research has many. And you know, of course, and then magkontra ang grupo, ibo, bukas ng message. Okay? Okay. That's the mo. Or this one, balita. Di balita. Does anyone or does everyone know what a balita is? Of course, it's a poetic form. It's what? What have you noticed by just looking at it? It's an exchange, a debate between, I said a while ago, usually man and woman, or man and man, pwede na.
Like, I have an example here na, I think, kawatan, nagdebate sila. Okay? What else? Usually, ang balitaw is more kuan. Kung iwan sila love debate, yun na siya. And then, the purpose, the man tries to, the man moves the woman and tries to get her precious, yes. And the woman's task is to